It's been our problem since the beginning of the show. It's been the problem through every episode. Oh, it's ridiculous. These lines, they know nothing about Star Wars.
The Force will be with you, always.
Now, did you notice his helmet, his armor is stopping lightsabers, but not only that, it's causing the lightsabers to short out. This is a type of armor that's been taken from Legends, or the extended universe, and brought into canon, which I actually appreciate. It's one of the few things about this episode I actually like. Okay, let's just be honest. The force pull into the impaling, that's pretty sick. From the outset, this episode is off to a decent start. Part of the problem, though, is it's only 28 minutes long. I feel like this, just even from this already, it feels like this should be part of the last episode. It should have been all one episode together, but for some reason, Disney probably came and said, oh, we need 8 episodes. We need to make sure this is 8, so cut it in half and leave it at a cliffhanger that really didn't need to happen at the end of the last episode. And here we are, and we're going to find out who this is. Let's see. Okay, so here's my main issue with the character and the writing in this show. They just showed Osha in danger. Now they flash cut over to May, who's been hiding out in the house. Just that right there. There's been a shift and a change that happened off screen, or has been happening, that we don't really get any insight into. It's not like they couldn't have taken more time to develop these characters. We've already seen how short the runtime is on all of these episodes, but yet now May, who was at one point in time wanting to kill all of these Jedi, now all of a sudden her sister is in danger, and now she's flipping to the other side. This whole jungle thing, like, it's cool for a little bit, but the issues that we get here in this episode, we can't really see anything. We can't even really enjoy what we're seeing because this jungle feels so tight and tiny and small. There's no openings. There's no expanse. It really just feels like it was shot on a soundstage. It feels like we're not really out in the jungle. We're not really there. We've not been transported to a different world. It just feels so small. That's part of the problem when you don't do enough big wide shots mixed in with these tighter fight scenes. Everything can feel like it's in a lived-in world as opposed to just in a tight and small environment like on a soundstage. And that's the difference between shows like this and shows I know I've brought up before, like Andor, that you get those expansive world-building shots. The only world-building shots we get are at the very beginning and the very end of episodes. Not in between, not part of, not kind of intermixed in everything that's happening. It's a huge issue in all of these Star Wars shows, but it's really showing itself to be prevalent here in The Acolyte. Lightsaber boomerang. Oh, Soul's back. Out of nowhere. Perfect timing. This lightsaber gets thrown. It's whipping around, and Soul smacks it out of the air, and smacks it perfectly still spinning back to the Sith. Right? That's not how things would work. Knock it down, and then he force pulls it back. It just doesn't make sense. Does not make sense.
Civilian to the ship.
Why does he call her a civilian? This gets back to how the Jedi are being portrayed, and it really, I think, is becoming a bigger problem, especially as this episode goes on. Jedi are not police. Jedi are not military. Jedi are Jedi. They are very different than military. And we see that as part of what happens in the Clone Wars when we get there, is it's very different. Yes, they might be commanding, but never do you hear Jedi speak like this. He's called her Osha the entire time, and now all of a sudden, civilian to the ship? Why? For what reason? If you were that worried about her safety, she never should have come on the mission to begin with. But she did. You brought her on the mission, and now all of a sudden, no, she can't be on the mission anymore? It seems like it would be better for Yord to stay there with Sol. But no, this is what has to happen, really just so that the next parts of the story can move along. But it looks at the Jedi in a complete backwards way. The Jedi are not these galactic police not letting people use the Force. That's just not who they are. But this is what the show has decided to take the angle of the corruption, that the Jedi are now like the evil police of the galaxy. And all of a sudden, they have to be the ones just only about the rules. And the only way to interpret that is to show them as galactic police. They can be about the rules and not be police. It doesn't make sense, but it's a core tenet of what this show has been made to be, which is everyone can use the Force however they want. And if anyone tells you that your use of the Force is wrong, well, guess what? No. They can determine how they want to use the Force, and if you push back on that, you're the oppressor who needs to be put in your place. That's just going to be furthered here in the next dialogue. Honestly, we're what? We're a few minutes in, we're 5 minutes in, and I wish there had just been no dialogue. In fact, I wish there was no dialogue in this entire episode, and it had just been the fight scenes, the emotion, the loss. We didn't need any of the exposition. I think all of the exposition we get in this episode actually undermines and makes the episode considerably worse. Now I pause here. I want you to pay attention to Sol in this next fight. I want you to pay very close attention to his facial expressions and ask yourself the question, is this the way a Jedi approaches battle? I think we see it a few times. I think we see anger a few times, but we know what that's from. We know that when Obi-Wan is going after Darth Maul, it's because his master was just killed in front of him. Now, you might say Sol lost and saw some of these other Jedi fall. We don't know that. He's been unconscious or knocked out. He just appears out of nowhere at the exact right time. But every single one of these Jedi that come are going to fight out of anger and passion. This is not the way of the Jedi. And I think it comes directly back to the directing of this episode, that the person directing this doesn't actually know who the Jedi are. It's been our problem since the beginning of the show. It's been the problem through every episode, a misunderstanding and a reframing of who the Jedi are to subvert expectations and to set things up for the prequels that the Jedi could miss the Sith. But it just doesn't fit. It's one person's interpretation of who the Jedi are, and it really does just not fit the rest of the Star Wars galaxy.
Who are you?
You don't remember me.
I sense something familiar.
Foreshadowing, because soon he's going to lose that ability to sense anything at all. Really doesn't make sense, but that's exactly what's going to happen through the rest of the episode. Master Sol is not going to be able to sense anything, because the big twist that they've set up is going to be the fact that he doesn't see it coming. One of the other issues that I've had in these sequences is the music. The music doesn't really match what's happening. It doesn't feel like Star Wars. It doesn't feel grand and almost opera, choral. Like, that was something that the prequels did really well, is the music that was underneath these lightsaber duels was epic, was amazing. This feels kind of generic. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm being too critical, but this just feels like generic music that I could have just downloaded off of the internet myself. Back to May. Here we go. What's May gonna do? She's got Kelnaka's lightsaber. And again, out of nowhere, Jackie, you just been laying on the ground this whole time, and this happens so many times in this episode. People just appear out of nowhere. This makes no sense. I guess you can teleport now in Star Wars and just show up at any spot in any place and come out of the right side of the screen or the left side of the screen with no understanding of the pace, the place, the movements, none of it. It feels all chopped together, scene after scene, just written by itself and fit into the puzzle. And Jackie and May now have to have their little duel. Wow, Jackie's putting up a better fight than we saw from Master Endara. Wow, crazy, right? Like, she's been built up to be the super powerful know-it-all. Let's see what happens. You have a lightsaber. Why are you not using it? Ooh, they're dancing. Ooh, they swing it a few times. Now we need an exposition dump before they can start fighting again.
You trained May. Show your face.
And let you read my thoughts. No.
Oh, so his helmet works like Magneto's from the X-Men, where it blocks out the thought reading of Master Soul. And if Master Soul can just read everyone's minds that aren't wearing that type of helmet, then why are we going to run into the issues we're going to run into later in the episode? This is where it's just not internally consistent. Again, take out all the dialogue, just let them fight, and I think the show is much better. But then you don't have even 28 minutes of runtime because you have to fit in dialogue like this, where show your face. Why? Why would that even be a question? Have we ever heard anything else like that in Star Wars? Take off your helmet and fight me. Fight me like a man. Why you need your helmet? Well, his helmet blocks your lightsaber, first of all. I'd want a helmet that blocks lightsabers, wouldn't you? This is like looking at Mando and saying, Mando, take off your armor and fight me. Let me see your face. No, this makes no sense. But they have to work it in so they have something to say back and forth and give a reason why Soul doesn't know the apparent person he's talking to. We've seen him before. He read May's mind when she was down on the ground after they fought, and that's where he came away with this idea that, oh, she doesn't know who her master is. But if he read her mind, he would have known things like the mask and the red lightsaber and all these types of things that we just don't see a picture of here. I just don't think any of it was well thought out. None of it was. It's a story that doesn't even make sense, but people are lapping up and eating up because it has lightsaber duels. I thought we were better than this. I thought Star Wars fans were better than this, to not just fall for nostalgia and lightsabers. But if that's all you want, okay, then fine, have it. Have your Disney Star Wars, because this isn't it.
What master hides his face from his pupil?
What master hides his... Again, this is poor reasoning. Who cares whether he wears a mask or not? Is all coming back to all about one thing. What happened 16 years ago? Somehow, Soul has been lying about what's been happening. And that's the only reason for that dialogue right there. But we don't even need that. We already know there's something there. You're telling us what we already know. Okay, so did you notice something there? Master Soul just got dominated by this master, by Smilo Ren, by whoever. We don't know who he is yet, but we all think we know. We all know. But he just gets dominated. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind as we see what happens as this episode continues.
What is he, Yord?
I don't know.
I don't know what he is. They're asking all these questions about him to try and distance themselves from the canon breaking that's about to happen.
He doesn't follow the rules of combat. There's no method to his movements. It doesn't make sense.
When have we heard anyone talk like that? He doesn't follow the rules of combat. This is not what we understand the Star Wars to be. When they engaged Darth Maul in Phantom Menace, they never said, oh, he doesn't follow the rules of combat. It doesn't make sense. No, that's ridiculous. Why would you expect a Dark Force user, a Sith, to follow rules? That's the whole point. They break the rules because they bend the Force to their own will out of selfishness and a desire for power. Oh, it's ridiculous. These lines, they know nothing about Star Wars. You have a lightsaber. Use it. Just don't understand why you're engaging someone who you know has killed multiple masters. Multiple Jedi masters have been killed. And you're not pulling out your weapon. Someone just comes running out of nowhere. Why was he leaving Master Soul? It just makes... I don't get this. This whole, it feels so tiny because they just go from scene to scene, back and forth, like they're running around in someone's backyard. There is no vastness to this jungle. There is no vastness to this forest because they just keep popping in and out. It's really, really stupid. But yet, no, we're going to get a cool battle, so it doesn't matter. Who cares? Okay, did you catch that? Wait, let's go back for a second. Just back 10 seconds. Here we go. Watch Jekki's face. Right there. That anger. That... like the sly kind of grin and... that's not a Jedi fighting. That's not what these Padawans would be taught how to fight. It's the exact opposite. Oh, one lightsaber down. Oh no! What will happen next? And he just disappears. Again and again. As if Jedi have no ability to sense anything, to sense danger, to feel what is around them. As if the Force isn't in and through all living things. It doesn't bind the galaxy together. Instead, now it's a thread they just have to pull on.
You are going to betray me.
He just pops out of nowhere, but this time on the left side. This is ridiculous. It's so dumb. So she's been running away from him this entire time, and somehow he shows up in front of her. Did nobody think about this? Or do you only care about a cool shot that looks cool? Because, hey, it kind of looks good. This episode, a lot of these things look way better than previous episodes. But this logically makes no sense. Unless he's teleporting through the Force to be in front of her so that he can swipe back at her. Punching a helmet, that works well. Listen to the anger. Again, this is just not how Jedi fight. Oh, that knocked the helmet off and broke it? How? Oh. Maybe if you'd been patient and not given in to the anger and passion. Surprise, surprise. Look who it is. Who we all thought it was. The only other person on this planet with them. It was hinted at last episode. It's been hinted at since the beginning. They tried to play us off like my mothers could do that too. But everyone knew this. Everyone knew this reveal. That doesn't make it bad. I'm not saying that him being the master is bad, but I just wish he wouldn't let him talk. So right now you have all of these Jedi dying, being killed one after another. How does Yoda not feel this? How does Yoda not experience this loss? Osha did. But only because it was Jecki? Did they have some kind of special connection? This is ridiculous. That Osha, the one who can't even use the Force when she tries to pull simple objects to herself, all of a sudden is feeling these things through the Force when it seems like all the other Jedi have lost that sense of feeling. It just doesn't connect.
Hello.
So dumb.
You attacked me while my back is turned?
Like, this is silly. You attack me when my back is turned. You've killed multiple Jedi. Why do we have to keep attack and stop? Gets back to this rules of combat. Jedi are trying to stop a threat. Do you think it was wrong for Obi-Wan to flip over Darth Maul and attack him from behind, killing him? Or so we thought? No. Why is it being set up that the Jedi are breaking these rules? It makes no sense.
What are you?
I have no name.
I have no name. Interesting. You have no name. Actually, you do have a name. But what you're about to say right now is going to break canon. It is. For those that you don't think it won't, it does. There have been no Sith, and he's about to say something really important.
But a Jedi like you might call me Sith.
But a Jedi like you might call me Sith. Well, either the showrunners and the director have no idea what a Sith is, which probably is true, because now we're talking about someone who's shown up, who is supposed to be extinct, who is trying to get an acolyte, an apprentice. So who's his master? Or is he a failed Sith? Did he escape his master? Not every dark side user is necessarily a Sith. And so to say that this person using the dark side is that he's using the words. Why would he use the words? If the Jedi would call you a Sith, then you are. So what's your name? Darth what?
Why risk discovery?
Well, I did wear a mask.
They're trying to be silly. They're trying to be goofy, and it falls flat. It's not funny. I did wear a mask. It's just dumb. Dumb dialogue.
What do you want?
Freedom. The freedom to wield my power the way I like, without having to answer to Jedi like you.
The freedom to wield my power the way that I like, but you, Jedi, are the oppressors who are not letting the Sith do exactly what they want and have all the power for themselves. This sets up this dynamic as if for some reason that it's wrong to limit the dark side. It's wrong to balance out the Force by eliminating the dark side. And that's been this whole show's motif, is anyone can use the Force however they want. They can use it like a thread. They can use it like this and kill people. Like, this is insane. This is not Star Wars. This is not Star Wars. Instead, this is a twisted version, a modern day take on this whole dynamic that maybe the Jedi are the bad ones after all, because they stop people like this. Well, I'm sorry, if they're just going to let people do whatever they like with the dark side of the Force, that leads to one place and one place only: absolute destruction. Because the dark side of the Force is all about selfishness and power for yourself. So it's pulling everything in. It's pulling everything in just for yourself. And what does that mean? You become like, the Emperor, who kills millions, destroys whole planets just to show his power and get more control. That's what the dark side is. It's not, oh, just one person's interpretation of how to use the Force. They use it a little bit differently. We should leave them alone. No. That's... Ultimately, that one issue is the major issue for me in this entire series. And it's the thing that makes this not Star Wars.
I want a pupil, an acolyte. But this one went back on our deal. She exposed me.
She exposed you. You could have just walked away. She didn't know who you were. You didn't have to take her to go get Kalnaka. You could have just told her where to go. This makes no sense, even in its own storytelling.
I don't make the rules.
You literally do.
The Jedi do.
No, the Jedi do not make the rules. You're making the rules about this. Have to kill a Jedi without a weapon if you want to be my acolyte. That's never been a rule in Star Wars. The Jedi don't make the rules. The Jedi balance the Force. Those are two different things. But in this world, it's the oppressive Jedi who put their boot on the neck of just this misunderstood Sith. He should just be left alone to do what he wants. This is ridiculous.
And the Jedi say I can't exist.
Correct. You can't exist.
So,
The Jedi do not attack the unarmed.
Rules, rules, rules.
Where is this rule coming from? So you're going to let him arm himself, and then I'll fight you. Oh, boy. I mean, really? Okay. Okay. That's where we're at.
Please, Osha. I'll explain.
And then they just magically jump to this one scene that feels completely... It just... Does any of this feel lived in? Does any of it feel real? Now, all of a sudden, Osha just appears. I just don't understand why... Have them start talking to each other from where they just were in the scene, but these scenes jump from scene to scene with no continuity. And now we're going to get 2 minutes of dialogue of Osha and May. Notice how many times the camera flips back and forth, because, I don't know, we couldn't find twins for this role. Counter this with another twins episode that just aired recently this week with House of the Dragon, which I thought was done fantastic. Why? Because you had these twins fighting each other. You had these twins looking at each other, talking to each other in the same scene, face to face. Why? Because you cast, twins in the role of a twin. But no, instead we get this. Oh, she's out cold. Now what's going to happen? Gee, I think it's time for a wardrobe change.
you never could block.
Cheesy dialogue number 132. These are just lame lines. It just doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. It's not good. And anyone that thinks this is good, that's a great line. Oh, you can't block. It's... The Jedi Barber. Now she's going to pass as Osha. Really? You cut off your extensions and now you're the same. So they've had the same hairstyle literally only as a plot device so that this twist could happen. But yet this twist is going to happen. They're going to switch places. And guess who is not going to sense the difference? Master Soul. He's not going to sense the difference. Neither will the Sith. He is not going to sense the difference. Oh, no. Now this is basically going to turn into the Parent Trap for the last few episodes. Can't wait. Can't wait. Well, there it is. The best episode so far, but not without its flaws. There's just so many things in this show that just don't line up, don't make sense, are not internally consistent within its own storytelling. Forget about stepping outside of its own storytelling to the rest of canon and the understanding of who the Jedi are, what the Sith are, how that all connects to they haven't appeared for a millennia, that the Sith have been extinct. There are so many things about this episode that just don't land. I think the entire episode would have been better if it was just fight scenes and no dialogue. I think it would have been a lot better, actually, if that were the case. It's almost comical at this point, the way that they're handling the storytelling, the way that things just don't line up, the way characters just pop in and out from the screen like nothing matters. There's just no attempt at actually working through a cohesive story. There's so many moments where people are just walking for distances and then show up back again. It just doesn't work. Now, some of the fight scenes were pretty cool, but they were so choppy because you kept stopping to dialogue and exposition dump and then move to the next scene and then come back and then fight again and then exposition dump and back and forth. We just didn't get a clear fight. I don't know. That's just where we're at, I guess. This is the Acolyte. I don't know. Your turn. Take to the comments. Let me know what you think about this episode, and I will catch you on the next one. Thanks so much. Hey, don't forget, if you made it all the way through the video, you kind of like this stuff, hit that like button and subscribe, and check out one of my other videos right here. I think the bottom one you're going to like the most. Yeah. Thanks. Catch you later. Bye.